one way or the other when we think about it or talk about this race. But what about where they're voting? Brooklyn, the highest borough in the early voting count. Of course, it has the most people across the city, so maybe no surprise there. But are there certain areas that, for instance, the Cuomo campaign is looking towards and saying, hey, maybe we have an opportunity here to pick up some positivity?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. I think they look at some of the returns in early Manhattan and the Upper West Side, the Upper East Side, the large Jewish populations. Maybe they're encouraged there with the suggestion maybe that would benefit them, and certainly some neighborhoods of Brooklyn as well, and maybe Staten Island. But it's also worth pointing out that you can see things from the Mamdani campaign's perspective that also make them feel good. The Brownstone, Brooklyn area, the liberal area of Brooklyn seems to be experiencing a large early vote turnout, and you could also make the argument that perhaps that benefits Mamdani, given the lean of some of those voters in the primary. So yeah, there are certain tea leaves to read here for all the campaigns, but this is certainly far from over. This next week is just so important because they want to pump out as many voters as possible and then obviously make that final push on Election Day.
And Ben, one more, as we are now 1 week away from Election Day. What is the most important thing that each candidate will have to do to try to get themselves over the finish line in a week?
I think it's all about turnout. The clock is running. There's only so many hours left between now and the end of the election. So every minute matters, every appearance matters. How they spend their time is going to be very important, and also how their campaigns spend their resources trying to pump out the vote. Those are the biggest things, and I think there's a lot to learn about where these campaigns are going, where these candidates are going in the city to tell us about who they're trying to pull out and why.
Ben Siegel, appreciate it so much. ABC News Deputy Political Director. Of course, we know you'll be watching it closely. Always appreciate your perspective.
Thank you.
We talked about the candidates, now let's talk about some of the issues. Yesterday, we discussed affordability, and today we are talking crime. The candidates all sitting down with Bill Ritter, who asked them about their plans to protect New Yorkers.
The statistics simply don't lie. Murders and shootings in New York City are down. But if you ask New Yorkers, many would say that despite the number of big crimes being down, they nonetheless feel less safe on the streets and particularly in the subways. It may seem like a contradiction, but the truth is both points are real. And it comes to the fore when we have a big election, like we do right now in the battle for the next mayor of New York.
I'll hire 5,000 new cops to partner with local community groups.
Andrew Cuomo has said safety is number one for a mayor, and hiring additional police officers is just part of his plan.
I would have incentives to try to get people to apply, because nobody applies anymore to be a police officer in New York City. Incentives to get them to apply, 5,000 police, 1,500 in the subways where people really feel unsafe. And start with public safety because that is the base.
The 5,000 cops that Mr. Cuomo is promising will increase the size of the department to about 40,000 officers. That's the same level it saw in the late 1990s. Curtis Sliwa, meanwhile, said he would hire 7,000 new officers. And Zora Mamdani, he thinks New York has enough cops.
I think we have the right number of police officers right now. I think we have to have them doing more police work. And that means that we do not have those same officers being tasked with connecting a homeless New Yorker with services that they require or responding to a mental health call. We need to ensure that we have mental health experts doing that work.
Mr. Mamdani wants to establish a Department of Community Safety, with those mental health teams responding to certain 911 calls. While his opponents have questioned whether the plan will put mental health workers in danger, Mamdani insists dispatchers will be able to determine which calls require political assistance.
And I trust those dispatchers because they make those determinations today with 911 calls where they're ascertaining, is there a threat of violence in this scenario, or is this just someone who needs someone to be able to respond to their crisis?
Now, when it comes to current NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch, well, all three candidates say they would keep her on board if elected. And while they agree on keeping Tisch, they differ on the future of another crime issue, the Rikers Island jail complex. Mamdani supports the current law that calls for closing Rikers by summer 2027 and replacing it with borough-based jails. Cuomo and Sliwa want to scrap the plan to close Rikers. And when talking about public safety, both Cuomo and Mamdani have been forced to answer questions about their past. Mamdani has been critical of the police in the past, and Cuomo was governor of New York when he helped enact bail reform.
Shoplifting, it's like an easy pass in and out. And that's because of Andrew Cuomo's no cash bail. No cash bail, Andrew Cuomo, that Zoran Mamdani is in favor of. I'm the only one who says we got to get rid of this. This has created a crime climate. When I talk to people who visit us, they say, Curtis, you're a city that locks up toothpaste and you don't lock up criminals?
Our thanks to Bill for that look at these issues. And tomorrow we're going to be talking about what the candidates feel they need to do with education across the city. The polls have been open later tonight until 8 o'clock in New York City. You can also vote tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., Thursday from 9 a.m. until 5 in the afternoon, Friday 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., and Saturday and Sunday 9 a.m. to 5 in the afternoon. In New Jersey, the polls are open now through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. and Sunday 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. I encourage you to vote. I'm Mike Marza. Full coverage of all the big races ahead of Election Day right here at ABC 7 NY.